And thanks to each of you for joining us as we address this problem of how to best leverage the Facebook opportunities that we have available to us. And that rolls us right into the topic today, as Rachel has shared, about demystifying Facebook audiences. What a broad and deep topic this is, and we've got about 25 minutes left here in our time, and certainly that doesn't allow us to cover all that is needed. But many of us also have different levels of experience with Facebook. And we just want to let you know that our team has collaborated and provided you with a clear path to get started and or build upon your current strategy. So as we close out the webinar, I want to let you know that this includes two just simple next steps that we'll share at the close of the webinar that we believe are critical really to help you to accomplish your goals, solve problems, and meet the needs of your organizations. So what is the value of our time together? And we're really addressing 5 points here. And number one, what is the big deal about Facebook? Number two, what is the Facebook pixel and why should you install it? 3, what are the types of targeting options available through Facebook? Number 4, how to find your audience on Facebook. We're going to be spending a bulk of our time there. And then lastly, 3 audiences that are consistently top performers. So what is the big deal about Facebook? Well, 79% of Americans are using Facebook today. 53% of them are using Facebook several times a day. And Facebook is used by over 22% of the world's population. So, okay, it's just not that a lot of people use Facebook, but what does all this mean? And Facebook is available in over 101 different languages. More than 100 million Facebook users belong to what is called meaningful communities aimed at helping users. Also, the Facebook offers features such as a safety check that helps you keep track of your connections well, during natural disasters or other catastrophic events. There's also Facebook Lite, designed specifically for the slow connections in the developing world, which, by the way, is used by over 80 million people. And to think that 85% of Facebook's daily active users are outside the US and Canada. So this is a big deal. Facebook is a big deal, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. And how can we, involved in the nonprofit space, best leverage the opportunities that Facebook provides? Well, first of all, and this gets to our second point, is really it's about the Facebook pixel and why you should have it installed. It really does start with the pixel. And if you already have website visitors, then you already have an audience on Facebook. And so what are the benefits of having the pixel? First of all, you can build custom audiences from your current web traffic. Secondly, you can generate advanced remarketing lists through custom events. In addition to that, we can track performance through conversions. We can unlock automated bidding options geared toward maximizing conversions. And in addition to all those, expand your audience with lookalike audiences. So that's a lot of information even right there, and we're going to attempt to unpack some of this as we move forward. So this moves us to the third question: is what are the types of targeting options available through Facebook? So it's important to know that we can use standard demographics to create our audiences. Well, what are some of those? What is a standard demographic? Things like location, age, gender, and language. but it goes well beyond that, because the real power of Facebook targeting comes from the information that actually people share on their profile. So this is where we get into the next level of targeting. And these three levels are, first of all, detailed demographics. So again, this goes beyond the standard demographics and looks at opportunities in building a campaign, things like marital status, level of education, children's age, and a whole lot more. A second area to target beyond standard demographics is interests. This includes pages they follow, groups that they're members of, or brands they like, and you can even exclude certain interests, if you like, from your campaign to narrow down the list even more. Thirdly is behaviors. And behaviors, this focuses around a user's actions or actual life events. For example, this could include anything from, having an anniversary coming up, all the way to, hey, I just bought a car. And so, a feature of this, most interesting actually to nonprofits, is targeting options based on charitable giving, which even offers classifications for the types of causes that people donate to. So again, the point here, and we're going to share some examples with you, but there's standard demographics. Beyond the standard demographics is detailed demographics, interests, and behaviors. They're going to help you shape your Facebook campaign. Another question we want to just look at briefly is how to find your audience on Facebook. So, this is where we're pulling all of this together to find your specific audience. And I say specific because it really depends on your campaign goals, your budget, as well as your targeted industry. So from here, we want to look at 3 different campaigns and helping you to find the right audience to target. And first is the awareness campaign. And we're going to start with this because this is directed towards a broad audience. It's the most generalized targeting of settings. And it's a broad audience in your demographics and target market. And what we want to do here is we want to cast a really broad net to find as many people who are interested in your product or campaign as possible. Again, this is the broadest type approach. So for example, let's say your organization has a podcast geared towards new parents. Well, we're going to look at your content of your podcast or audience of the podcast and align your general demographic settings accordingly. So for example, perhaps you'd like to have this podcast geared towards men or women, or targeting those in the United States only. Perhaps it's a Spanish-speaking podcast, and so you want to direct towards Spanish speakers in the U.S. So I've just mentioned a few general demographic settings here. So then, as I've shared previously, we move to more detailed demographics, where here we're narrowing the focus down. And while general demographics may be defined, for example, as women 25 and above, now your detailed demographics could be targeted towards new parents, parents with toddlers, with the kind of content that you're attempting to promote. So beyond that, we also want to look at interests. So interests match up with the actual audience. So if you want to pursue, or let's say you have a Christian parenting podcast, perhaps we target an interest, a Christian parenting Facebook group. So as you see here in this awareness campaign, we're leveraging general demographics, detailed demographics, and interests. So we're not just targeting everybody, but we're targeting parents, parents with kids, moms with infants, toddlers, and they also have, let's say, Christian content and values. So again, this is a very broad audience, yet it's targeting, yes, yet it is targeted, driving lots of traffic to your podcast. So that's a sampling of an awareness campaign as we look at Facebook. Secondly, let's take a look at an email growth campaign. So this targets down even a little bit more than the awareness campaign. And why is that? Because email pretty much outperforms most other channels out there. So once you have an email address and you have trust with that, you can send content as long as it's relevant content, and we believe it's going to pay off for you in the long run. So an example of an email growth campaign would be, let's say, for example, your organization needs new volunteers. You've got an event coming up and you need volunteers. So most likely this is it's a short project. It's needing volunteers for, let's say, maybe a week, maybe in a weekend, but let's just say a week or two. So you want to run ads to get email lists of those interested in volunteering. So with volunteering, the general demographics may focus on an area of location. Now, why location? Because you want them to be able to attend the event in order to volunteer. So location is going to be critical in your general demographic. Also, you may want to look at age and the age data. Perhaps there's a minimum age requirement in order to attend the event, or even a maximized age requirement in order to volunteer. Perhaps there's some heavy lifting that needs to be done, and you feel that you want to put some parameters around age. From here, we go to detailed demographics. Let's say, for example, you want to be more inclusive of college students as volunteers. So one option here is that when you look at college students, they're obviously interested in volunteering, being part of the community, and you could even focus in on, let's say, admins of a Facebook page for a social club on a college campus. So these are really good prospects as an example to say, hey, you know what, come on out, get involved in the community, get your social club involved, and here's some community service that that you can do. Another area, and this kind of goes back to detailed demographics, I wanted to mention this too, was in the area of fields of study. You want to get your ad in front of someone studying perhaps social work or counseling, when it comes to volunteering. Volunteers coming in with those specific insights and ability to relate with people in a volunteer type environment is really good. I mean, they've got a good awareness about cause-based volunteering and interacting with people. So again, looking at this email growth campaign, so you're targeting in these ways, and yet it allows you to get more specific. Now, most likely with an email campaign, you're going to send actually send a smaller amount of traffic, yet it's going to be more qualified. Okay. So what most likely will happen is that there's going to be a more likely response because it is a more qualified group that you're targeting through the email growth platform. So we've gone through an awareness campaign, we've gone through an email growth campaign, and then we want to look at, let's say as an example, for a donation campaign. And this is where you're diving even deeper into the target with people who know you and or somehow has a relationship with your organization. So clearly, someone who has never heard of your organization is far less likely to give than someone who knows your organization. Perhaps they've, come to your website a couple of times. They've given their email address, and maybe they've done some volunteering with you they're done some volunteering with you, previously. Perhaps they visit a campaign page 3 or 4 times. So in this campaign, we want to use custom remarketing audiences. Again, based on the people that already have a strong awareness and affinity with your brand. And this is where excluding certain interests could also be helpful. So these are 3 examples that we wanted to share with you, that as we think about overall general awareness, as we think about an email growth campaign and or donations, that really apply to all of us in the nonprofit space. So as we look at how to find your audience, we wanted to share with you 3 audiences that are consistently top performers. First of all, general retargeting. So why is this important? Because research has recently shown that even up to 99% of the visitors who are coming to your site are going to leave, they're not going to return, and they're going to go somewhere else. So retargeting those that are already coming to your site is a great opportunity, because you're going to get a better response rate by those who have already been to your site already. So bringing back users and offering them opportunities to get involved is really we think is a great way to go. Again, retargeting your email list. Why is this important? Because it's one thing to send out emails, but when you can leverage your email list and run an ad along with the email campaign, it strengthens your messaging even more, and the response rate is most likely going to be better. Thirdly, another audience is this whole area of donor re-engagement. We've seen some research that says that donor retention rates are hovering below 50%. So marketing to recent donors is really a great way to get them re-engaged with your cause. And again, why is this so important? It's because some of the research is showing, especially with those perhaps in their 20s and 30s and even older than that, that there is an affinity for causes out there, right? There's a growing affinity for causes, although loyalty to any specific organization isn't growing along with that affinity for causes. So the challenge, especially in the nonprofit space, is that there may be another similar organization that does what you do, and perhaps they're leveraging Facebook along with an email campaign in getting their message out there throughout more channels over and above just using emails. So that's some research that we wanted to share with you. So I wanted to also mention a bonus tip to you. This is to create a form abandonment retargeting list. Well, what is that? On average, research shows that 83% of users will click on a form and start filling it out, but only 17% finish. Now, when you think about your own organization and the forms and the opportunities that you have for people to either purchase content or receive some type of content, and of course, these percentages could differ with your organization. But the point is this: don't let them get away. Okay, that's a rich opportunity for you to follow up with them, for the users who start a form and start filling it out, but they don't finish it. So this is kind of a similar situation that maybe we've heard about in what is called cart abandonment in e-commerce. So we see that online brands were able to recover 30% of their, up to 30% of their abandoners by retargeting them again for those who did not finish what they initially intended to purchase. And actually, this is why sometimes you'll find when you're online with purchasing something, and let's say you pause or you're not going to go through with it, you'll all of a sudden receive a promotional email that gives you a percentage off on the very same product or service that you were looking to purchase. So this whole form abandonment is really something that that we would encourage you all to look into as well. So hopefully, as we've gone through this, there's been some questions that have come about, and or something has spurred in you some, where you want to say, you know what, I really feel like I need to know more information about what 5Q has talked about here today, and I'd like to have some more conversation around that. Well, what are some 2 simple steps to take next? Thrilled to offer this to anybody who is registered for the webinar, that we're offering a free Facebook ad audit with our Journity team. So we would enjoy the opportunity to sit down with you and have more conversation about the principles that we've gone over here today, and how does that specifically apply to your goals, your challenges, and your needs. And so our Journity team, it would just be considered a joy to sit down with you and do that. And just for our Journity resellers out there who are on the webinar, just know obviously our interest is to work with you closely with your customers on this what we think is a great opportunity. So a free Facebook ad audit. Secondly, the next step is we wanted you to know that that 5Q's personalization solution called Journity can actually track who visits your website, your organization's website, from specific Facebook ads. And with that information, Journity helps you to create custom messages for these visitors to display directly on your website. And they are the only ones who will be able to see it. So it's a great opportunity to align Facebook and Journity. And again, we'd welcome the chance to talk more with you about that. You can go to journety.com/demo, and we'd be happy to visit with you more on that. So again, what are those 2 simple steps that we placed before you today? A free Facebook ad audit on behalf of our Journity team. Go to journety.com/Facebook ad audit, and then also a free Journity demo at journety.com/demo. So those are the 2 steps that we want to encourage you with. And as you even have questions from what we've talked about, really for the amount of time that we have here, we want to welcome your questions. We value them. And I think with the time that we have remaining, really sharing your questions through either one of these 2 opportunities is really the best, we think the best opportunity to do so. So trust this has been valuable and helpful. And to you, we look forward to having more conversations with you, and stay tuned for our next webinar on Thursday, August 9th. And that's as we tackle the challenge of what are the digital trends every nonprofit needs to know today. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it. You'll have a great rest of the day and the rest of the week. Thank you much. Bye-bye now.